Hi there, welcome back to the Falco on this bright and sunny Friday morning. Today I'm going to be looking at the North London Derby, so the biggest game of the season, or the biggest two games of the season for a lot of Tottenham fans, and I'm going to be looking ahead at what to expect from Arsenal, what to expect from Tottenham, and what I'm hoping for and what I'm looking for. I should point out this is Friday morning. So I don't have any information from press conferences. We don't know what the squads are looking like or then potential team lineup. So some of this stuff might be subject to significant change, but a few of the things that I'm really looking to see are not going to change, and it doesn't really matter about the personnel that are going to be performing on Sunday. I'm obviously massively looking forward to being there for the game. It's a game that I'm coming into this season, surprisingly, given our points tally and the fact that we haven't quite clicked, with a bit more confidence than maybe usual. But those are kind of famous last words when it comes to playing that lot down the road. They are perfectly capable of doing what they did to us last season, where we didn't actually play that badly, but they ran away to a very early 3-0 lead by half time, and then it was an uphill battle from there. So number one thing I want to see is us avoiding exactly that. We really do need to avoid letting Arsenal get a toehold in the game. They are coming into the game, and we know they've got injury concerns. We do know that Declan Rice is out suspended for his red card. So if you're going to capitalise on that and take advantage, you need to make sure that you take away, and this would be the case even if those players were playing, you need to take away any opportunity for them to build confidence and any opportunity for the travelling fans to get behind their team. You need to keep them very, very quiet. And it's almost like a bit of an away game in terms of those things. I think the psychology of it is massive. So I fully expect Tottenham to start quickly, because Ange does like us to start quickly, and he does like us to play at high intensity from the off. What we need is to be really, really switched on. So the second thing that really links into this that I'm looking for is concentration across the 90 plus. If we can put down an entire game performance, and that doesn't mean that they're not going to have spells of pressure, doesn't mean they're not going to have chances, doesn't mean we might not need to ride our luck at times, but if we could put on a performance for 90 plus minutes, that's the surest fire way of us getting a positive result out of this game. I do think we can win it. I do think if Solanke is playing, that gives us a bit of an edge up front. Hopeful, obviously, that Richarlison might be fit on the bench as well. If we've got those attacking options, Sonny playing on the left, and then with support from whoever else is going to be playing on the left, with Werner backing him up, and then Odegaard, who can play on both sides, Brennan Johnson. Decky has actually played really well against Arsenal on that right hand side, but that's more in the away game when it was about securing possession, when we were under a lot of pressure. But I expect him probably to play in the middle as opposed to out wide, and therefore he could be an option to move, whether or not he plays the full game or whether he changes positions during the game from kind of 8/10 to that right-sided slot, depending on how the game's going and what kind of game management we're looking at. But we need to put on a performance across the whole, and if we can do that, I think we can be successful in terms of penning Arsenal in and taking our chances. The concentration is key. We know what our weak spots are. We do get hit too easily on the counter-attack. I do still think we have players whose defensive knowledge and IQ isn't where we need it to be. We need that concentration. We need everybody really, really focused on what they're doing. Take our chances, really pin Arsenal back and don't give them opportunities. But what I'm expecting from them is to variously play with a false nine, and then variously try and use the pace that they do have at their disposal in terms of their front three to hit us. They will try to switch play on us, which I think most teams are going to do to us this season. They're going to try and draw us across, switch play quickly, and then look to play forward. They are also going to play very direct against us if they can. I think Arteta has shown himself to be quite a pragmatic manager when he needs to. He clearly has a philosophy, but he's also willing to be quite responsive to other teams, and I think that works well. It just goes to show in terms of the last couple of seasons how well they've done, and they will look to expose our weaknesses, particularly with a couple of first teamers missing. So we need to be really concentrated. We need to minimise the number of chances, so we need to hold on to the football in the centre of the park. So whoever is playing, whether that's Biss, Lolo, Sarr, Madders, whoever it is that's playing in that middle, we cannot afford to give up possession cheaply. If we do, then we really need to be switched on. We need to be super aggressive, and we need to try and win duels with the balls that are going to come over the top and come at us very quickly. But also not just protecting possession, but making sure that no matter where you win it, our recovery lines are right. And what we're doing to get back into position has to be correct against a team with the quality of play that they've got and with what I'm expecting them to do in terms of trying to create chances themselves. I don't expect them to want to dominate or be in charge of possession. I expect them to want to play quite deep and then look to move it forwards very quickly or look for the switch so that they can move us about quickly. They will be afforded a lot of space by our setup where they have their strongest attacking players. So in the fullback areas where we have fullbacks that invert and push on, leaving huge pockets of space alongside the centre halves, that's where some of their best players are, and that is something that we need to be aware of, and we need to try and nullify. You nullify that by not giving away possession cheaply, taking your chances, and therefore really taking the confidence out of the opposition. But you are going to concede possession. There are going to be times they have the ball and they are going to look to exploit, and you've got to, your 1v1 defending has to be exceptional, and then your recovery runs. People need to be getting back in, and depending on the circulation of players, particularly in our midfield, when those turnovers happen, I want to see a bit of awareness of where you go. You might find yourself in a position which is not defending a position which is not your natural position, where you would naturally retreat to if we were in a defensive shape. But you've got to sense danger. You've got to look for things. And if you find yourself in a position where you're tracking a player in a position you wouldn't normally be, and I'm sorry to pull him out on this, but James Maddison against Newcastle found himself a couple of times in those situations, particularly the first goal. He found himself out wide because of a conceding possession, a quick throw. Your 1v1 defence has to be good. You just have to win your duels in all the right ways, and that doesn't mean putting massive tackles. You've just got to be in there, be a nuisance, and stop the opposition from easily progressing forward. Just make it really hard for them, and delay defence is one of the best things that we can do in terms of slowing down transitions. So I want to see lots of people really performing on that aspect on Sunday. And then if we look at ourselves in terms of going forward, one of the things that we haven't done is take our chances, and we need to start taking our chances. We know that we're going to be getting out wide and flashing that ball across the box. I want to see a slightly better decision making from our wide players. So the ball across the box, cutbacks onto the penalty spot, or cutbacks even further than that. Lofted passes as well. I don't think we use that, and I understand that may well be the coaching setup. It's a lower percentage chance if you are lifting the ball than if you're flashing it across or cutting it back. But I still like it if you're aware. If that is the decision you're taking, if you've looked in and you've seen and you've identified that actually you've got a mismatch, if Solanke finds himself at the second post, at the back post, against a defender who is not one of Gabriel or Saliba, you might think actually the lofted pass gives him the best chance here, because I'm not going to get it past the two centre halves and into his path, and there's no cutback because the midfielders have dropped in. that lofted pass is also an option. I don't think we use it very much. I don't think we use it well, but I'd like that added into what our wide players are looking to achieve, looking to do. Take your chances. As I said, don't give the ball away cheaply. Obviously, it being a derby, I expect everybody to be up for it, everybody to be running and really putting it in. But let's also try not to get carried away by the occasion. Hopefully we as fans are going to make it a really intense atmosphere as we did a couple of years ago, and that really worked in our favour. But what feeds into that is we created a fantastic atmosphere when we played under Conte against Arsenal, and everything was on the line for kind of Champions League qualification and fourth spot. The team delivered, the team started delivering, and those two things fed off each other. That helped us to keep the atmosphere going, and they kept feeding off it, and we scored at key times. That Sonny goal just after half time effectively killed the game. So those things do matter. We as fans need to not get frustrated if it's not going our way. We have to believe, we have to back the team. But again, looking at the game objectively, we want to see certain things. So as long as we can see certain things, if the rub of the green goes against us, that is just the way it is. If we get a bad decision, again, that is just the way that things happen. But we're looking for the type of performance, the consistency, the concentration. Have we improved on those areas that we all know we need to improve on? Are we defensively more solid and more stable than we were last season? All of these things. If we are seeing those things, we can continue to get behind the team and really provide our support. And no matter what, we don't want to see any kind of major negativity unless the team really doesn't turn up and really doesn't perform, in which case, the fans are going to be frustrated, and that is our right as fans. We pay a lot of money to go to these games every season, and we want the team to provide us with some joy at the end of the day. The last thing I'll say is Arsenal traditionally have been very good at working little triangles and little rotations. I've mentioned this before, in the pockets on either side of the penalty area, and in that key zone just around the D on the edge of the box. They're very good at doing it, but their key orchestrator Odegaard is out for this game. But I still expect them to try and do that in the quieter periods. So again, in terms of Ange's tactics, Ange is always go, go, go and attacking and trying to score the next goal. A little bit of, and I'm not saying this in terms of dropping the line, we're still going to play the high line, a little bit of game management from the possession of the football, from the point of view of keeping possession of the football, to stop them from getting into those advanced areas where they like to make those little rotations with, the ball being played around in a little triangle, all of those players changing positions and then running in through gaps in the defence. They're really, really good at doing it, and they've got great players who can find a pass in those key areas. I want us to counteract that by holding on to possession of the football, and holding on to possession of the football doesn't always mean, bombing up and trying to score the next goal. There are times where, the much maligned horseshoe football actually serves a purpose. It's much easier to feel confident and comfortable in it if you're leading in the game and you're doing that and you're just keeping the opposition at bay. But when you're trying to score a goal, it can be very frustrating. But one of the areas for me that we can nullify one of Arsenal's key threats in the way that they play is by holding on to the football. And sometimes you're going to need to elevate and go quicker and really be dynamic because you're trying to score that goal. And sometimes you need to probe and hold the opposition at arm's length. So we as fans need to not get frustrated if we're doing that, and if we're doing that in a way that stops them from getting possession high up the pitch and being able to dominate the ball, that can be a positive as well. So I won't be disappointed if I see a bit of it, particularly if we're a few goals to the good, which we all hope. You never know. With a derby match, no one knows what's going to happen. It could everything in terms of all the players that are put out, the systems, the tactics could go out of the window in the first minute when something happens. Penalty, red card, dodgy decision, bad tackle, any of those things could happen at any point during the game. So like I said, the general points I'm looking for: concentration, consistency for 90 plus minutes, really, really focused recovery, defense, as well as 1v1 defending. And then for us going forward, now is the time for it to click. Now is the time to actually put the ball in the net. We've got to create chances. I expect us to dominate possession, and I want to see us putting those chances in the back of the net. And I don't mind seeing a few shots from long range as well, just to keep up that pressure as well. So I'm hopeful. As I said, famous last words. I'm feeling pretty good about the game, and that's normally how it ends up hitting you the hardest when you don't get a result at the end of the weekend. But we should fancy ourselves. We should back ourselves to go into this game and get something. And, you know, we'd really like this result to be a springboard for our confidence going into cup games and Europa League coming up in a couple of weeks. So let's get a result. Let's go out there and play well. If we play well and don't get a result, it's still going to hurt, but I will take that, and I will be able to look at that a few days after the game. But yeah, I really just want to get a result in this game, because I do think it will help us massively in the upcoming kind of month or so, 30 days. We've got a lot of games coming up. So here's hoping. I look forward to enjoying it with all of those of you who are going to the game on Sunday. Those who are watching on TV, enjoy it. Here's to a famous Tottenham victory. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend, everyone. Come on, Tottenham.